Hi friends, welcome back. I'm Kathy. So we are on part 2 of going through this book, Scientific Facts in the Bible, which was written by Ray Comfort, and his ministry is Living Waters. Okay, and there's a playlist also, and you can check out the intro that tells a little bit about it, and part 1. But this is part 2. So we will dive right in. So this next paragraph is the Bible and the water cycle. So the scriptures tell us that all the rivers run into the sea, yet the sea is not full. Unto the place from whence the rivers come, there they return again. That is from Ecclesiastes chapter 1, verse 7. So this statement alone may not seem profound, but when considered with other biblical passages, it becomes all the more remarkable. For example, the Mississippi River, which is in the United States, dumps approximately 518 billion gallons of water every 24 hours into the Gulf of Mexico. So where does all that water go? And that's just one of thousands of rivers in the United States and around the world. There's so many. Oh my goodness. Okay, so the answer lies in the hydrologic cycle, and which is so well brought out in the Bible. So Ecclesiastes 11, chapter 11, verse 3 states that if the clouds be full of rain, they empty themselves upon the earth. So look at the Bible's concise words in Amos chapter 9, verse 6. He calls for the waters of the sea and pours them out upon the face of the earth. The idea of a complete water cycle was not fully understood by science until the 17th century. However, more than 2,000 years prior to the discoveries of Pierre Perot, Edmé Marriott, Edmund Halley, and others, the scriptures clearly spoke of a water cycle. Okay, so more than 2,000 years before all of those scientists talked about it. All right, the next section is the Bible and the first law of thermodynamics. And I'm not a scientist, as I've said, so some of these descriptions and words and paragraphs and phrases, I don't know exactly what they're saying, but I will read off what this says, and hopefully it makes sense to people. The gist of it makes sense to me, but as of getting down to all the intricacies, I need help there. Okay, the Bible and the first law of thermodynamics. The scriptures say, quote, "Thus the heavens and the earth were finished, and all the host of them." Genesis 2:1. The original Hebrew uses the past definite tense for the verb finished, indicating an action completed in the past, never again to occur. The creation was finished once and for all. That is exactly what the first law of thermodynamics says. This law, often referred to as the law of the conservation of energy and or mass, states that neither matter nor energy can be either created or destroyed. It was because of this law that Sir Fred Hoyle's steady state or continuous creation theory was discarded. Hoyle stated that at points in the universe called airtrons, matter or energy was constantly being created. But the first law states just the opposite. Indeed, there is no creation ongoing today. It is finished exactly as the Bible states. So I'm doing all the quotes because they have all these quotes in that chapter there, in that paragraph. Okay. So the next one is the Bible and ship dimensions. In Genesis 6, God gave Noah the dimensions of the 1.5 million cubic foot ark he was to build. In 1609, at Hoorn in Holland, a ship was built after the same pattern, and they have down 30 to 5 to 3, revolutionizing shipbuilding. By 1900, every large ship on the high seas was inclined toward the proportions of the ark, and that's verified by Lloyd's Register of Shipping in the World Almanac. Okay. So this next paragraph is the Bible and meteorological laws. The scripture describes a cycle of air currents 2,000 years before scientists discovered them. It says, quote, "The wind goes toward the south and turns about unto the north. It whirls about continually, and the wind returns again according to his circuits." That's in Ecclesiastes chapter 1, verse 6. We now know that air around the earth turns in huge circles, clockwise in one hemisphere and counterclockwise in the other. Okay. So the next part is chapter 2, and I'm not reading every single bit, just certain parts. This whole next chapter is dedicated to the book of Job. So we will dive into this and just probably read the first 1 or 2 paragraphs. Okay, the book of Job, and this says 1520 BC, filled with scientific facts. That's the title there. Okay, so it says, okay, this is a quote. "The study of the book of Job and," okay, I get it. This guy, Charles Burkhalter from Chabot Observatory, he wrote this maybe book, article, something called Book of Job Filled with Scientific Facts in 1520, because the book of Job was written many years. I'm trying to think what I've heard. From what I've heard, even before Genesis and all that, or before, I'll have to research that, but you guys maybe have heard it too, that it supposedly is the oldest book, and I would have to get the actual timeline. But okay, so this guy, this scientist, Charles Burkhalter, wrote this in 1520 BC, but the book of Job was, I think, thousands of years even before that. Okay, so he says, "The study of the book of Job and its comparison with the latest scientific discoveries has brought me to the matured conviction that the Bible is an inspired book and was written by the one who made the stars." Okay, so I think we'll pause there and pick up next time on the next part in the chapter on Job. So let me know what you guys think. Sorry if I'm getting tongue-tied and all that and trying to get through this. But yeah, let me know what you guys think about all these things. I've had to read this at least a couple times, and maybe even more than that, to grasp a lot of the concepts. But yeah, I think it's fascinating. So I will see everyone in the next video. Hope everyone's doing well, and God bless.